Dead by Daylight continues to evolve in terms of gameplay mechanics. Some new mechanics introduced, some old mechanics reworked or removed altogether. One of the last remaining older gameplay mechanics, however, Bloodlust, remains in-game. If you're new here or you just don't know what Bloodlust is a killer gameplay mechanic that was introduced in early 2017. Bloodlust increases any killer's walking speed during prolonged chases to make it easier to catch up in long loops and close the distance more effectively. Pretty simple, but it does come in tiers. Tier 1 unlocks at 15 seconds and increases base movement speed by 5%. Tier 2 unlocks at 25 seconds and increases base movement speed by 10%. And then Tier 3 unlocks at 35 seconds and increases base movement speed by 15%. Pretty simple, right? You can only gain Bloodlust by chasing a survivor uninterrupted. However, there are many ways that you can lose a tier of Bloodlust or all of your Bloodlust. You lose a tier of Bloodlust after getting stunned with a pallet, and you lose all Bloodlust if you lose line of sight of the survivor, hit the survivor, or break a pallet. Bloodlust was essentially implemented to help killers counter strong structures like old main buildings which contained infinites, which could be looped for a generous amount of time if done right. Tiles that could be chained together strongly, survivors not having entity-blocked windows, exhaustion recovery while sprinting, and more. But why is Bloodlust still in the game? I'm not really sure. Most maps have been reworked completely to decrease sizes, but also multiple times to remove infinites, strong tiles, and add new tiles for new and updated gameplay. But the previously mentioned survivor mechanics have also been completely scrapped as well. These alone make for good reasons as to why Bloodlust should be removed, but also, some time ago there was an experiment across the weekend in November of 2020, which yielded interesting results. Not many people had issues from it from what I can recall, as many considered Bloodlust to be a crutch kind of thing for newer or less experienced killer players as a whole. And according to McLean, it actually shifted kill rates by an entire 1%, which is pretty interesting. So with that being said, there are actually a couple of benefits or pros for removing Bloodlust in DBD, starting with incentivizes more chases so other survivors aren't just bored on gens and totems and whatever else they're doing. Spreads points with more chases so survivors don't have one-sided games, as you need to do a little bit of everything for maximum points. Bad players will then learn from their mistakes, breaking a common cycle for killers in DBD, where killers will often chase the same survivor with Bloodlust eventually helping them get it down, but because it comes at the cost of generators, they feel as if they're being gen rushed, leading them to want to camp and tunnel more, and as soon as they get down. Without Bloodlust, some bad map designs will cause pain until they receive rework, such as Garden of Joy's main building or the never-ending strong tiles on Borgo. People that have become dependent on it would struggle a lot, and there'd be a lot of issues surrounding that, which might lead to harsher gameplay from those players, like camping and tunneling. I can't think of much else from these things as pros and cons, but I see more good coming from the removal of Bloodlust versus having it stay in game. In my opinion, tying into what I just said, I think Bloodlust could stay, but only if it was at a maximum of Tier 1. But for further insight, let's take a look at how fast Bloodlust Tier 1 versus Tier 3 actually is. So as you can see, the difference is actually there. And I know it may not look like a lot, but in Chase and how the game actually pans out, it definitely is a huge difference. And going back to one of my previous points, I was actually a little confused because in 6.1, when they did across the board killer buffs, they actually decided to buff Bloodlust. And again, I'm not entirely sure why, but they decreased the Tier 2 thresholds by 5 seconds and then Tier 3 threshold by an additional 10 seconds. And the DBD servers and hitboxes have been a little wonky for some time now, but this past few weeks especially, I've noticed that whenever a killer ends up getting Bloodlust, the visible speed that they get can yield some interesting hits. And I definitely notice this whenever I play killer myself, where as soon as I hit Bloodlust and I'm going for a lunge, it will definitely give me some hits I should not have gotten. So that's probably another reason why Bloodlust should definitely be looked into. But outside of that, very seldom do I actually hit Tier 2 and Tier 3 Bloodlust. I also know that if I hit those at any given point, I should force myself to drop Chase and move to another survivor or go back to patrolling gens to find other survivors in general. Also, bonus story time. One of the first times I brought this up, I had somebody tell me that I didn't play killer because car infinite loops existed. in the game, and that's why Bloodlust was needed. And it was very funny, but the Twitter hassle from that was a lot. Let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that, because we are super, super close to hitting YouTube partner, and I've been grinding this year for it by a lot. I'll see you guys in the next one, or possibly a stream. Check out my socials below. Bye, guys.
ボディチェックを受けた時にちょっと借りてきたんです。
I got you, Miss Claudette.
こんなものが存在していたとは。